Hello, this is Aiden J. Chavez. This is my final project for EDCI 32300-001, the virtual slash e-learning plan. Now, here's the best way to stay engaged with your students and the parents of your students. Staying engaged is very important because it helps build up your community, make sure people know what's going on, build up a good rapport with the parents. You kind of need that, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of e-learning, so there's less chance to see them in person. You could always schedule Zoom meetings with them. That's one way of doing things, but not everyone has the time to set up a camera and get ready for a Zoom meeting, even though everyone could just pull out their phones and do that. But I digress. Sometimes you just gotta do something simple that you can just get to when you get to it. That is where these three and one other come into play. Your first one is Canvas. Canvas, I'm basing it off of my student teaching time and like off my student teaching time and students like helping time in Munster High School. We used Canvas there. It has built-in messaging functions for students and parents. So that way you can see when stuff is posted, when the grades are posted, uh, message the teacher about them, or reach out to the parents if maybe the student needs a little extra help. Gmail. You can always just send an email. Emails are probably one of the quickest things you can do, unless you're emailing a bunch of people, because you have to add all those separate emails. But Gmail does have a built-in chat function that anyone with a Gmail can access and use. Good way to just reach out without having to use a phone number or anything like that. Class Dojo. I've talked about this one before. I love Class Dojo. It's fun, easy to use, good way of keeping tabs on the students, good way of handling communication between parent to parent, student to student, student to teacher, parent to teacher. Makes things super easy to handle, which is good when you need to keep them engaged, especially when you can't physically be there to talk to them. Or you could also just give out your phone number. Gotta be a little careful with that one since that's your phone number and it's gonna probably be ringing at all hours of the day now if you have some parents that constantly have questions. Now, the philosophy of teaching, especially with online, this is the some more model right here: substitution, augmentation, modification, redefinition. Technology and digital work very much helps with the substitution and augmentation, uh, making the work digital quizzes, digital writings. Modification, whole new assignments like research projects that are done in slideshows or making your own Quizlet or Kahoot. Uh, Things like Edpuzzle. I firmly believe that this tech can aid in the learning. It's not going to fully replace it. You're not going to replace me with a computer just yet, but I can use a computer to make a bunch of assignments for you. The choice model, a lot of the collaboration efforts can very much be done with things like Edpuzzles, Kahoots, Padlet. Professor, I very much like your use of Padlet in this class. I like it. It's fun. Very easy to use. The choice model tech can help with most of these things, making higher level thinking, the open-endedness of things. A lot of the different websites like Kahoot, Quizlet, Quizzes, Google Docs, make assignments, give them out. Let them reflect on things and type it out. You can handle most of that with tech and virtual learning. Social emotional learning, my favorite. I wish there was a class dedicated to just this because this is honestly kind of fun to teach. How does technology and virtual learning help with it? Well, we have our three main ones and our two minor additions: SEL bell ringers and exit tickets. Just a quick check in at the beginning of the day. How are you feeling? Maybe this is their second or third class. You doing well? You guys need a break? Here's something simple to keep your mind off of it, or an exit ticket, which could be just a small, short, reflective prompt that they can type up and send to you on Canvas, or put in a Padlet. I'm gonna keep going back to that Padlet thing. It's really good. But specific examples and the links to these will be later on in the presentation. Books from the Department of Education list. I read over it and I was surprised that the Lorax, Children's Dr. Seuss book, was recommended for grades 12, like for high schoolers. But the more I thought about it, it makes sense why, in an SEL context, a high schooler would be reading a Dr. Seuss book. They have very important messages in them that anyone can understand, even at a young or old age. Uh, the Lorax in particular was like thinking about the environment and your impact on it. The story about the Starbelly Sneetches, I forget the name of it, but that one's about individualism and not following trends. Speaking of individualism, your Starburst identity chart, uh, helping you reflect on who you are as a person and the core parts of your identity. A lot of these can be done digitally now. In fact, I found the Starburst identity chart online, going through some of the resources you gave us, Professor. And then conflict resolution model. This is a list from an actual SEL website, SEL Space, that goes over various ways of a model that handles all the different ways you can handle a conflict. I actually use some of those methods in my day-to-day life. When I was doing field work and when even outside of it, when I have friends who are just being obnoxious and need a little extra nudge in the right direction to just stop what their petty conflict is, I will use the SEL conflict resolution model to guide them to just knocking it off. It's very helpful even outside of teaching and learning about it, and you can easily apply that through like a Zoom meeting or some other digital meeting place to just help with it. I mean, online therapy is a thing now. It's basically like that. Computer sciences, how to best integrate it into a high school level. Little out of my depth here with it being high school level, but I think computer sciences should be known. The Department of Education does make it a requirement, somewhat. What I mean by somewhat is they are required to attempt to integrate it into K through 12 courses, and the schools must have at least one computer-based extracurricular each semester. You're not. It's not saying that they have to take it, but they are saying it has to be given. I remember one of the easiest ways for virtual learning is coding, stuff like Khan Academy, Scratch. The image right here, I don't know if you can see my mouse moving, but it's the image of the face. That is made with Khan Academy coding. And then higher level courses can be your JavaScript or knowing how to type. If you're going to be doing a lot of stuff digital, you need to know typing and keybinds. Computer science classes at a high school level should be helping you refine that. Now, the plan for secondary education, freshman class, ninth grade, I based off of a block schedule that uses Canvas. Again, tapping into some of my previous experience with uh, field work and student teaching. We start the day off early, live Zoom class, go through your stuff on Canvas, use some of those bell ringers or exit tickets when you leave. Independent work, fill one out. With the teacher, of course, still being available during Zoom, do your work on Canvas, join the Zoom class again if you need to talk to them. You move on to a quick break, SEL lesson. I've noticed with block schedule online courses, a tutoring or SEL period very much helps. Include something simple, easy to digest to help them like ease still into the day. It's still early. Then we move on to live Zoom lesson 2 for their second course, English, math, history, science, whatever course they're currently taking at that time. For block schedule, we're handling 3 courses and the SEL lesson. This goes into secondary education plan part 2. Independent work session 2. Maybe they did a Kahoot or they did a quizzes or they're doing an ed puzzle and they can just chat with the teacher. Going back to all those things. Maybe at the end of it, they do another Padlet. Like I said, I'm gonna keep going back to that. It's a very good tool I've learned. Lunch break, still need lunch even if you're at home. Live Kahoot review for class 3. Maybe they're taking an easier day. They don't have a lesson planned. They're going to do a review followed by a quiz. How do you handle online quizzes? Proctor them with stuff like GoGuardian or use Lockdown Browser, something that can proctor it for you if you can't proctor it for them. Then you go home. Well, you're already home or somewhere, but the class is over. And in conclusion, my final thoughts, technology can just easily help a classroom out when you know how to best integrate it. Like I said, you got to find a balance for it. Can't go full computer everything, but you also can't stay in the Stone Age. Got to have a balance of it. Virtual learning, when done right, I've seen plenty of times where it's done wrong. So many. I've experienced so many times where it's done wrong. You need to know how to find that balance and right resources to use to make sure it is done right. Then here are my links, the DOE book list, Starburst Identity Chart, Conflict Resolution Model, the Kahoot, GoGuardian, Canvas, and the DOE guidelines. That is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.